Hi, I'm Fenny, and I have Saturn in my 6th house. So while I was growing up, I always looked at my father as my idol, or someone that I really looked up to because of his work ethics. He worked hard every day. He had really good work ethics. He was very reliable, and I felt that this was something good. This was something that I wanted to be. So, when I started going to school, in like around middle school up, I was working really hard. Not only did I get really good grades, almost straight A's, but I also, tried to take on extra credit as well from my teachers. And I felt like I was doing good, right? And I couldn't quite understand why when I told my dad, my grades, or when I showed him, the extra credit that I was taking up, that he was saying to me why I don't also take other tuitions outside of school. Like, why don't I also enter certain competitions as well, to writing competitions or sometimes science competitions as well? Why don't I also do that? I couldn't understand, because I had basically occupied all of my time to get these grades. I came home, I studied. I'm first at school. I studied to study. I sleep at midnight every day studying. I barely had any free time. On the weekends, I was doing these extra credits in school. And I couldn't quite put it together as how I was even supposed to find the time to enter such competitions and to even take on extra tuition. But still, that's what he said I should do to be the perfect daughter. That's what I had to do. So I wasn't good enough. Yes, although my father did work very hard, like I said at the beginning, I sometimes didn't really feel that he was passionate in what he was doing, or that he even had a vision or really understood the cause, or had a cause. He was just like working just for the sake of working. That's what I felt. And I felt that he wanted me to do that too. And I was doing that. I was doing what he wanted, wasn't I? And so I decided that I would, take on extra tuition, and I would kind of take extra tuition really late on Sunday night, because usually on Sunday night I would go to dinner with my parents and then my grandparents, but I told him that I would skip the dinner just to take on extra tuition. So that's what I did. And I think when I was like in 11th grade or something, I think I got thyroid disease. My thyroids were kind of out of whack because I was too stressed from work. And I remember that day I went to my dad and I said, "Dad, I went to the doctor with Mom. The doctor said I have thyroids because I'm too stressed." And he said to me, "What are you talking about? You don't have thyroids." Besides from that, I also remembered my childhood being quite routine. I remember that I had to wake up at 5 a.m. every day to go jogging with my dad, either jogging or swimming, alternating days. And then at 7 p.m. I had to be at school and then spend an hour studying before school starts at 8. And then at 4 p.m. I had extra piano lessons. At 5 p.m. I had French lessons just to help improve on these 2 grades in school. 7 p.m. I would reach home and I would have dinner. 8 p.m. I would do homework with my dad. He would be the one to kind of interrogate me on my homework. 9 p.m. I had family reading sessions to kind of broaden our knowledge on other things that were not taught in school. We would read together. At 10 p.m. then I would go to bed, but of course I didn't sleep because I would continue to study until midnight every day, and then it would repeat. Every day would be like that. When I was 22 years old, I had my first job. I worked as an office assistant at a psychiatric hospital, so I was mainly doing a lot of paperwork. And the reason why I joined was because I really felt that psychiatric patients really needed help from the world, and I really felt a certain compassion for them, and so I wanted to be of helping hand in some way, be of service to them in some ways. But it turned out that the only position I could land was as an office assistant, so I was actually doing a lot of paperwork, and I was working overtime a lot, especially Saturdays as well. I was working and I wasn't really being paid enough, but I felt like I was part of something much bigger, and that was my service that I had to offer. At 28, I was with a girlfriend, and I was living with her in our tiny little apartment because she wasn't making a lot of money and I was not making much from this job I was doing. But that year was a year where my bladder was really infected. Like, I would get a bladder infection every other month. When one recovered, I would get another one, until I was like seeing the doctor constantly with like bladder infection over and over again. And the doctor said that sometimes it could happen because of stress, because when you have a lot of stress you kind of just clench your bladder and you don't allow the urine to come out fully, so then you have urine stored in your bladder, which causes accumulation of bacteria. But I also felt at that point in my life that I was also having a lot of chronic fatigue, and I even had a lot of headaches. So at one point I thought that I was also having migraines. There was just a lot of stuff going wrong with my body that year. I don't know, I mean, when I first had the bladder infection, my partner was, she was taking care of me quite well. But when I told her that I also felt very fatigued and I was having migraines, she somehow kind of didn't believe me, just the way my dad didn't believe me. At one point, she even threatened to break up with me if I don't quit my job at the psychiatric hospital, because I was working overtime. And she said if I quit, at least the bladder infection issue would be gone. And she threatened that she would break it up with me if I did not quit. So after a couple of months, I decided to break it off with her. I felt that she was being cranky and tyrannical and controlling. But because I was going through this breakup, it made me even more anxious and lonely. Oh, I felt so lonely. Some days I couldn't even go to work. And I think my heart was just not really in it, not really seeing the value of it anymore. So when I was 29, I kind of got fired. They let me go from that job. I didn't feel so bad about it, no. But I did felt a little bit out of control with regards to not the job, but just in my life in general. And a friend of mine told me that I should join this meditation camp, that it would help make me feel better. I kind of didn't want to do that at first, because I felt like 1 week of meditation, I mean, that's just a waste of time. That's what I thought. So I was resisting it for a couple of months until I couldn't take it anymore. All the anxiety was welling up. I decided I would just try it out for 1 week and see how it goes. And it was the best experience of my life. I felt like my body was detoxified. 14 days I did silent meditation. I did not talk to anyone. My voice was just kept inside myself, and I felt this inner peace. And I was on a vegan diet just to detox away everything in my body. I think that camp really taught me to value the downtime that I had in my day. And once I left the camp, I had this feeling of a comprehensive understanding of my life, that the downtime was the healing time, not just the work that you put in to heal other people, but the downtime was also what you could do to heal. And then I realized that what I actually wanted to be deep inside myself was to be a massage therapist. So I went to school and to gain some skills and some knowledge, and I realized that I was actually very good, that I had really great hands, that my hands could heal people. And I couldn't believe that I was suppressing the skill for so long because I thought that I could just do manual labor and that was enough to be of service to people. But I realized that the skill of my hand is the true service. My skills are the true service that I have to offer. I'm now 34 years old and I own my own massage practice, as well as a meditation studio. So I allow both myself and my clients to have that downtime in their day, a relaxation time. It's just so funny because there's this irony that I keep thinking over and over again, that I was trying so hard not to waste time that I ended up wasting so much time. That balance was necessary and balance was required. I had to balance a healthy external life with a very healthy internal life. So after going through all of this, I realized that my karma, the cycle of it, was that it all started because I was insecure about my own ability to fulfill my duties. I was insecure of my ability to be of service and to be of useful to people because of the way that my father had so put me down and pressured me so hard to be superficial in how I can fulfill my duties. He pushed me so hard to just do it without even thinking about what I was doing. So I overcompensated for this by overworking to gain control and order of my outer life and be of use, even if I'm not utilizing my skills. And this resulted in chaos with my own schedule, my management, and my own management of all the different aspects of my life, my relationships, my work, my hobbies, my downtime, my friends, my family. There was just too much in my plate. So this made me feel so anxious and imprisoned by my chaotic circumstances, which leads to more worry, more anxiety, which, whatever happens in your mental health is going to be reflected in your physical health. So I became really, really unhealthy and ill a lot, which leads to poor quality work, which then leads to more insecurity about my ability to fulfill my duties. So I realized that in order to escape this loop, I had to realize what it means to really be of service. That the biggest, most healing service that I can offer is the utilization of my skills. That I should master my skills and use that to be of service to people. I now understand that bad health will lead to a chaotic mind, which leads to a chaotic soul. They're all linked, and that if I want to have good health, I've got to go in the reverse direction, which means I've got to fix my chaotic soul and have mindful ordering of my soul, which is going to make my mind become more mindful and have order, which is then going to allow me to be physically healthy and have order in my physical body. It made me question what is the internal purpose that is required for me to have certain specific trainings. I have to be in touch with the inner purpose. I understand that true humility is not just to do a lot, to be of service, but it is to understand the inner process and the inner work that has to be done. I understand that this is like you're planting a tree, and the tree begins to grow and it gives you fruit, and it grows and it gives you more fruit. But if we only see the fruit of the tree and we only take its fruits, but we don't understand that the fruit is in direct correlation with the actual inner process of this tree, what's going to happen is we're going to appreciate the fruit, but we'll never appreciate the tree. And the moment that the tree dies, we no longer get its fruit. And that is the moment that we become unhappy and we suffer. But if we can appreciate the inner process that has given us all these fruits, the moment that the tree dies, we have gratefulness, we have appreciation, we understand the process. That even when the tree dies, you can still see the value in the tree because you understand the hard work that it had to go through internally to give you the fruits. And that is real humility.